Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, breaking news: the desperate search for the missing after catastrophic and deadly flash flooding in central Texas, and now the tropical storm churning toward the Carolina coast. First, the disaster declaration expanded across Texas. More than 40 people killed, including children. The number of missing still unclear, but at least 27 girls from a Christian camp are unaccounted for. The agonizing wait for parents and loved ones. Homes, roads, and vehicles washed away in the raging floodwaters along the Guadalupe River. Helicopters, drones, and boats joining the multi-agency search and rescue efforts. Hundreds evacuated and rescued. The stories of survival. And tonight, the promise from the Texas governor. And Tropical Storm Chantal now threatening the southeast. Warnings issued for parts of the Carolinas and along the east coast. Our weather team tracking it all. A massive wildfire in central California. The so-called fire, now the largest blaze in the state so far this year. And the new evacuation orders. July 4th fireworks leading on Alabama and Georgia. This just the latest in a series of fireworks mishaps. What we're learning tonight: the garbage pileup in Philadelphia, the summer heat, union workers walking off the job, but negotiations resuming today as the strike enters the fifth day. The high stakes for both sides. An emotional goodbye. Soccer star Diogo Jota. Family and teammates joined mourners as the Liverpool player was laid to rest in Portugal. A big showing by an American at Wimbledon, ousting the defending champ. And America's song tonight. Laura Market. Meet the hiring athletes paying it forward. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight. Joining us now for more on this, Brent Sadler, Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow, as well as a retired Navy captain. Thanks very much for being with us on this Independence Day weekend. To what do you attribute Hamas's reported willingness to come to the table here and join in some peace talks?
Yeah, thanks for having me on this very historic weekend. The cause for optimism, certainly to try to get the remaining hostages and the remains of those that have perished. Hamas activity, I think, for optimism. But again, there has to be caution that a lifeline is not provided to Hamas so that it can constitute itself, and we find ourselves back in this same type of attack seen on October 7, 2023, perpetrated again on innocent people. So optimism for the hostages, certainly, but they should be guarded by how and if Hamas is given a lifeline.
Another retired military man, British Army Colonel Richard Kemp, now retired, shares your caution about the situation with regard to Hamas. Listen.
In my view, the IDF have been conducting it very effectively. They've killed huge numbers of Hamas terrorists. They've destroyed a lot of Hamas's infrastructure, including some of the tunnels. But they've got a long way to go yet. The fight's not over yet.
It's fair to say, isn't it, that with the American attacks on Iran, as well as the Israeli attacks on Iran, frankly, that Iran's pipeline to Hamas has pretty much dried up. They're not sending the money that they used to and the supplies that they were up till now.
Absolutely, that is a strategic change from previous ceasefires and negotiations with these groups, these Iranian proxies. In this case, in Gaza with Hamas. And it's important that Iran and any other outside benefactors not able to reconstitute and off the bid supply finance, let alone weapon systems to any type of violent faction, certainly not Hamas in Gaza.
There's one hostage named Itay Chen, who is apparently still being held. We hope that Itay is still alive. But this is what her parents had to say. After the historic wins over Iran, Hezbollah, and yes, Hamas, now is the time for us to pause and adopt President Trump's policy of peace through strength. It is time for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to collaborate with the U.S. and bring the hostages back. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu is coming to the United States on Monday, and one would think this would be top of mind for both leaders. On this Saturday night, tragedy in Texas. Administering the Calgary spending trap. Oh my God! Why more and more teens are in over their heads because of implied. To make a return, and defense in Wales supersonic. Global National reporting tonight. Anthony. 20 people still unaccounted for, as forecasters warn of more rain on the way. Candace Cole begins our coverage.
People need to know today will be a hard day.
24 hours after deadly flash floods ripped through Kerrville, Texas, killing dozens of people, search and rescue crews are stopping at nothing to find survivors. This video showing the gripping moment a person is airlifted out of rushing floodwaters to safety, and this one showing the devastation left behind at a campground in Kerrville, where 36 RVs and 11 tiny homes were put away.
Over 850 uninjured people, 800 people.
Now rescuers continue to hold out hope for a missing group of over 20 young girls attending an all-girls Christian camp where the nearby Guadalupe River rapidly rose to 9 meters. Here at local elementary school, some parents are being reunited with their children who have been rescued.
The camp has obviously captured the attention of the entire country. I have one of my colleagues whose his daughter's niece was one of her.
Headquarters came rushing in during the early morning hour Friday after a massive dump of torrential rains. Following up.
Innovators shape what's next.
Again, incentives were rescued. Other birds have already been confirmed among the dead. The current toll stands at 51 statewide, including at least 15 children. The Guadalupe River rose to 26 feet, nearly 8 meters in an hour. There are questions over whether local authorities have been spraying, though rainfall was irrelevant of what had predicted. Inko Yatare has some of the latest.
Teams scour through the devastation left in of deadly flash floods that swallowed parts of central Texas. Dozens were including 20 who was at a riverside. But they will not be found.
We will be. You also have a role to play.
This is DW News from Berlin. Doesn't stand in flash. Many are still missing from summer camp. Hundreds of people have been rescued, and emergency crews say they won't give up until everyone. New political party to give Americans back their freedom. To look at whether it's just another round in the comparison with Donald Trump. I'm Pablo Folilias. Welcome to the program. At least 23 people, 15 children now to have been killed in flash flooding in Texas. Rescue teams are searching for more than 20 girls still missing from a summer camp that was struck by fast-flowing waters. South Texas, hitting Kerr County on the Guadalupe River. Children and adults slept as months' worth of rain fell in just.
Camp Mystic. The private summer camp, perched along the Guadalupe River near Hunt, Texas, was inundated early Friday morning after hours of relentless river over now. Rescues are working around the clock while parents wait, some more than
launch an attack as to look good. Killed including more than a dozen children killed. Flash flooding in Texas. And Berlin celebrity chef Peter Russell Clark has died at the age of 89. Hello to ABC News, I'm David Chow. The accused East Melbourne synagogue attacker has had his case heard in the Melbourne Magistrates Court this afternoon. The 34-year-old man is accused of pouring flammable liquid on the door of a synagogue on Friday night. Our reporter Jonathan Kendall has details.
Angelo Loris didn't actually appear in court before Magistrate John Lesser. This was a hearing of the Melbourne Bail and Remand Court. He's accused of setting fire to the front entrance of the Eastman Hebrew Congregation Synagogue Friday night. The judge was really in danger by the front door of the Eastman Congregation. He's also charged with possessing a weapon. Now, there was significant interest from the media in court today, and the 35-year-old made no application for bail, and his case will be adjourned.
Thank you. Around 20 people were inside of the synagogue for a Shabbat service at the time. All of them escaped uninjured. The fire was just one of 3 incidents across Melbourne on Friday night. A group of protesters entered an Israeli restaurant in the city centre, yelling offensive chants, while in North 3 cars were torched and graffitied. The Executive Council of Australian Jewry has strongly attacked.
We're grateful at the speed at which the police have moved, so that's fantastic. We're still concerned about the event in the
benefit that you're setting up America apart by Trump is pull out with the US President. Tackling young extremism, we speak to those on the front line, with half of all referrals to prevent being children under 18. Labour's rolled out new family hubs across England while retreating on other key welfare reforms. Ozzy Osbourne's farewell to rock and roll with his final gig, the original Sabbath.
And England are up against it on the final day of the second test against India, needing 536 away.
Hello, very good morning.
morning. Thanks for joining us. Our top story, the deadly flooding crisis in Texas has worsened overnight, with efforts continuing to try and find the dozens of people still missing. Months' worth of heavy rain fell in the area around the Guadalupe River, causing it to burst its banks. So here's where things stand right now. 51 people across the southeast of Texas have been killed. 43 of those were in Kerr County, including 28 adults and 15 children. A frantic search is underway for dozens of girls who are missing from a camp in the town of Hunt. Camp Mystic is a Christian summer camp west of Kerrville. Officials have rescued more than 850 people, including some who were clinging to trees. And the
This is Asia Now.
Jakarta scrambled to locate survivors swept away by floods, which have killed more than 15 people.
We will be relentless and going after and ensuring we will not.
On a ceasefire in Gaza after Hamas said it's ready to sign a agency. Due to is hurting the global economy. Devastation and desperation gripping Texas as rescuers press on with their search for survivors who were swept away by floods in West State, and the death toll has climbed to 51, including 15 children. The White House says the Coast Guard has been deployed to assist in the search and rescue effort and is working with state officials. But Texas Governor Greg Abbott has vowed to spare no efforts to search for missing.
Everybody who is missing is alive, and there's a need for speed. Not just every hour, every minute counts, which is why there's people in the air, people in the water, people on the ground right now, because they're looking at every last live. Well, not that.
People have been evacuated, but may remain unaccounted for.
Rest Friday to Homer Bay. Thousands of people out to show respect to the violent protests after an autopsy report discredited police claims that he died from self-wounds to him. We rest our lives in the hands of God. I have sent off my son in peace. May he rest in peace. Ojwang's death reignited long-standing public anger about police brutality. The Congress arrested in connection with Ojwang's death, and the Kenyan Parliament held televised hearings about the ongoing investigation.
And injustice is done. We have seen the victims of Osaka.
During protests in Nairobi last month, 22-year-old street vendor Boniface Kariuki was shot by police at close range.
Police
Brutality watchdogs say at least 20 people have
and accounts for almost a third of Austria's total employment. More than a quarter of all African imports to Austria are from South Africa.
The Austrian president said South Africa has set itself as a model for many nations transitioning into unanimous approval from all 131 members of parliament present on
Tonight, the search for survivors. At least 24 children are among the missing in the devastating floodwaters of Central Texas.
We're looking for my sister and her husband. We can't find them.
The governor says rescue crews working nonstop. At least 32 people dead.
Ice and Alec along the Guadalupe River. Stunning stories of survival coming from all this destruction, and the desperate families who are still hunting this riverbed for their loved ones.
Also tonight, weekend travel forecast.
I'm meteorologist Greg Gilmore tracking severe weather from the Midwest to the Central Plains and the threat for a tropical storm on the southern coast.
Plus, President Trump's agenda. Now that his tax cut and spending plan has become law, the administration switches focus.
I'm Willie James, Inman, traveling with the president in New Jersey as he turns his attention to trade ahead of a key deadline.
Insurance damage denials.
I'm Elise Preston in Altadena, California, where some families are struggling to get their insurance companies to pay for smoke damage cleanup 6 months after the devastating wildfire.
And later, CBS's Itai Had introduces us to Mr. Bloom, a San Francisco bee lover on a mission to keep them buzzing.
What's it like when you go out in a bee costume? It's beautiful, you know, I'm just being myself.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York.
Tonight, the frantic search for potentially dozens of missing kids after a deadly flash flooding in Texas. At least 32 people killed after dangerously high floodwaters ravaged Central Texas.
I've never seen tragedy on this level.
New drone video showing total destruction. On the ground, these RVs underwater as rescue efforts ramp up to find those missing children. Families desperate for answers. The latest on the ground. The Carolinas bracing for impact as tropical storm Chantal barrels towards the coast. What to expect during landfall. A violent 4th of July. Dozens of people hurt from shootings across the country. The new push for a ceasefire in Gaza. President Trump welcoming apparent progress from Hamas ahead of next week's visit from Benjamin Netanyahu. But is the end of the war actually in sight? Elon Musk announcing a plan for a new political party as the president signs his massive spending bill into law. But how will it impact you? Take a look at this, a boat in Alabama bursting into a fireball in just the latest fireworks mishap over the weekend. A potential breakthrough. How researchers are trying to translate this noise to see if humans can talk to whales. And there's good news tonight about a reunion years in the making and heroes who changed this little boy's life.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the devastation from catastrophic flash flooding in Central.
Tonight on
CBS News Weekend. On paper, they seem like ideal job candidates, but in reality, they're North Korean operatives. Complex tech scams are infiltrating the American workplace and helping fund North Korean weapons programs. Then, with the nation's 250th birthday a year away, celebrations have begun. We look at the innovations that have shaped America and where the country goes next.
There was no time at which we stopped innovating and changing, and we have to go and use those examples to help us in a conversation today about what we can do as citizens to do better.
And what's behind the boom in secondhand shopping as more Americans turn to thrifting?
Our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay. Because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Duckaway, for an informative, interactive news program with difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
It's a surprise.
I think there's a bit of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Another blow for Labour.
A year after winning the landslide victory, polling suggests that 72% of the public thinks Sir Keir Starmer's government is as chaotic as the previous Conservative one.
Well, the drama over Rachel Reeves and the welfare bill has undermined trust in the Labour Party and given the Prime Minister his lowest approval rating.
And a mega poll of 10,000 people reveals that if an election were held tomorrow, Nigel Farage's Reform Party would win 290 seats and top cabinet ministers would be out of a job.
So, is it too late for Labour to turn things around?
The tech tycoon and world's richest man, Elon Musk, has announced that he is launching a new political party, and that's just weeks after he was best friends with President Donald Trump.
Tomorrow marks 20 years since the 7/7 bombings, a day when London changed forever. Will reflect on that throughout the programme.
At least 43 people, including 15 children, are now confirmed dead, dozens still missing as flash flooding hits Texas.
Is funding the arts, especially at this time, just a waste of money? That's our debate this morning after the King's Foundation launched a programme to teach students how to make costumes.
And would you pay to spend a penny, or should it be free? One councillor in North Yorkshire is opposing plans to charge people 40p to use council-owned public toilets.
It's the British Grand Prix, and Lando Norris believes 6 cars are capable of snatching glory at Silverstone. It's a serious test for Bazball, as England chasing India's hefty runs target at Edgbaston, and Trent Alexander-Arnold says Jota was with me as his goal to Real Madrid to the semi-finals of the Club World Cup.
There are thunderstorms in the forecast today, and they may even affect Wimbledon. Join me later for the full details.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.